I think, a lot of stuff we covered this morning in that, were you there for that session? Yeah, I think a lot of the things that were brought up, I think were great, but I think students need to create a portfolio as fast as they can and as much as they can from each class they've taken, from any, I don't know, from any internships or whatever. They need to learn a lot about teamwork, I think, strategic thinking. But I think most of all, I think what students need to do is do a self-analysis and figure out what their passions are and what their skills are. And so that they can position themselves, build on those things in the first place, and then work on the things that they don't think they're good at. And then so you understand, because you've got to sell yourself on a job interview, and as much as they've got to sell themselves. So just getting those things to differentiate yourself. Oh, wow, there's so many. Obviously, social media, that's a big, I would say AI is very, very important. Because things are just going in that direction. We're already there in many respects, like Alexa and Siri and all that. That's all AI. I think big data is very important for students now. That I don't think it's taught here, and it isn't taught in many universities yet. But that's what everybody's asking for. Everybody's asking for data, strategic thinking and data analytics or big data knowledge and skills to be able to analyze those kind of things. I think social media, at least how it involves companies, it's now a two-way communication with brands. So I don't think it's, brands telling you anymore. It's now a two-way communication, which I think helps them improve their brand. It makes them focus more on their brand identity, I think. I think it's worked. I think it's really worked to strengthen brands, I guess. I think how it's changing as well is, now a lot of things are coming from influencers as opposed to, so all the creative isn't as important as it used to be. It's more what influencers and micro-influencers and all that do. So in terms of your second part of that question, I think was about the future. I think it's here. The future is here. I think anybody who tells you they know what's going to happen, I wouldn't believe them because you just don't know. It's happening so fast. There's just no way. I think AI and all that, yes, that's obviously it's becoming a big thing. But as new technologies develop and they're developing so fast, they're going to be incorporated many times in the IMC environment. I think that's one of the most important things. Find mentors and role models, people that can help you. Talking to Abigail yesterday when she was driving me, getting mentors, setting your goals, get your own brand, do your own brand profiling, I think, very important. Make sure that you go back through your brand profile a lot to make sure there isn't anything in there that shouldn't be there, at least on social media and things. I think you maybe add to that, like I said, setting goals for meeting people, like we have professionals come on campus visits, meet all those people. Your Career Resource Center, if you've got that kind of a thing here, a Career Resource Center, asking all of your contacts, including professors and friends and your family's friends to develop contacts. Do mock interviews. I think I've answered that with AI, big data. I think branding themselves, networking, portfolios, learning about yourself, like I said. Probably the most interesting study, and I'm saying interesting and because they were of value to the community. That's what those are the ones that I like the most, that are applicable. So one of my research studies was, I'd read this article it's called the 80-20 rule in marketing. So 80% of a product is bought by 20% of the population. And I had just learned about that, and then I was watching alcohol beverage advertising. I don't know, and then I thought, you know what? I'll bet that 20% is a lot of alcoholics, I'm guessing. So I wanted to find out the effect that alcohol beverage advertising had on recovering alcoholics. And it was the most fascinating study I've ever done. I interviewed 75 people in all different kinds of, in treatment facilities, in mandated and not, in prisons. I mean, people that, were severe alcoholics, and anywhere from 2 weeks in recovery to 40 years in recovery. And so it was fascinating to me that every single one of them brought up advertising as an influencer for them. And interesting, at the very beginning, the people that were early on in recovery would say, what I miss is what they're showing in these commercials, the dancing, the music, the friends, the camaraderie, right? And that's what I really miss. People that were in recovery for a longer time, like 10, 20 years, would say, I watch those commercials now and go, that's not me when I drink. I'm not partying and laughing and having a good time. I'm not dancing on the table, I'm under the table. So I took all those findings and went back to all the treatment centers that I had gotten some of my participants from, and asked them, do you talk about advertising in your treatment routine? And none of them did. They all do now. So all of these chains of treatment centers all across the nation now all incorporate advertising as a trigger for them. How do they deal with that trigger? So that to me was one of the most interesting studies because it was real applicable and it made a difference. That's what I liked about that one. When I started to do research about this, what did I find? I found that some studies said, yes, it makes a difference. Some studies said it didn't. Some said they didn't know. But what was interesting, what I learned is where they were doing these interviews with people to find out if it had a difference, they would take them into a room, show them videos of like some TV show where people were drinking and having fun and stuff like that. And at the end, they'd set up things in the back where they would have the brands that were in there to see if people were drinking them, just those particular brands. And but where they were conducting these interviews was at the Center for Alcohol Abuse. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was in there watching commercials and they got that set up, I wouldn't drink anything because, they're trying to, so I thought a lot of the studies were flawed. So so how long did it take me? It took me probably a year to get them all set up. That was the hardest thing. It was getting permission to do all the interviews. Like if you go to AA or something like that, you've got to get permission for people to, I couldn't go into the meetings, but somebody could go there and say, there's a researcher out here who really would like to talk to you. So trying to get those nailed down, trying to get permission to talk to people that were incarcerated for alcohol abuse, or because then it turned into all different other things that they ended up doing, and that's what they're incarcerated for. So the actual study probably took me 2 years. Well, I guess it's from what perspective they're coming from. So if they are the people creating the warning labels, if they're the ones who are doing the graphics or whatever they're doing, I think they need, first thing you need to know is that people don't read warning labels. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you have to design them so people will read them. Most of them are written in like 6 to 7 point type, even on medicines and all kinds of things where that really needs to be larger. So the typeface needs to be larger. They need to be really careful about the kinds of words that they're using, whether or not it's warning, danger, whatever they're using to make sure that it's got the right, it fits the product. I think they need to consider, how do you reach people who are illiterate, or how do you reach people who are not English speakers? So you do that with visuals. I served as an expert witness on a pressure cooker thing, and the woman had removed somehow or another had removed the top before she should have, and she got covered with, and she was burned horribly. Now, nothing on the pressure cooker said, pressure, be careful of how you open this or anything like that. All it said is, it's hot. Well, of course it's hot. It looks like a crock pot. Of course it's hot. But they didn't, they had a lot of space on this thing to put warning labels, and they didn't do it. So they should have, so they were remiss in that respect. But I think you can communicate very well through visuals, pictures, and things like that. That should be on a lot of warning labels, so that people can understand it, maybe who are not literate. Or wonderful experience so far. I mean, it's so well executed, and it's so well done to bring professionals and academics and everybody together. There's no way to go forward and have you as a student here be on the cutting edge if you don't bring in people. So that part it's been fascinating to listen to the professionals. Even in the one session I was in this morning, listening to the professionals, their take on some of the classwork that needs to be done and incorporated. What other things could be done? What other courses should be taught? I think the topics are wonderful. I think they're all, like I said, cutting edge. They're all great. I think not all schools are embracing the IMC concept, and you guys are, and it's wonderful, because that's the way the industry has moved. So it's good to see that you are up and coming in all this stuff, and they're going to be leaders in it. So it'll be good to go back to the University of Florida and say, see, this is what we should be doing. I mean, you may well want to get a journalist, a straight journalist kind of job, but a lot of our journalism graduates are getting jobs, I'm sorry to say this, in advertising, which I know is the enemy, but in advertising because of their writing skills and their thinking skills and their interviewing skills. So they're getting jobs as copywriters. And